Joining us today is the House Majority Whip, State Representative Bryan Cutler. Representative, welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking today about ALS, which is an issue that is very dear to your heart. So as we start off, can you tell us why ALS is so important to you and how it affected you and your life as a caregiver?
Yeah, when you look at how I ended up here in Harrisburg, you really have to go back and see how ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease touched my life. When I was 15, my mom came down with symptoms, and within about a year, my father did as well. And they were one of 8 couples at the time who were ultimately both diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. They were one of 2 that were still living at the time of their diagnosis. And so my sister and I, who was 2 years younger, we were put in a position to help run the house, which involved being a caregiver, both directly as well as in supervisor roles. And it's something that, we had a great response from our community. It certainly left a lasting impact on me as an individual. I ultimately felt like I was, I went from X-ray to hospital administration to law school. And since I've gotten here, I've gotten involved with the Hope Coalition out of Philadelphia and some of the great work they're doing there in terms of their clinical disciplines and the way that they overlap. And I know that they've got a new partnership, which I think is very important, because when you look at our efforts as we go forward, we've been successful because we've been able to collaborate and to all pull in the same way. And look, we all want to have ALS to be cured, but the reality is, while we're working on that, there are a whole host of other supporting issues that we need to work on. One is the research that supports that. One is caring for those individuals in a holistic and complementary way, which the clinic does so well. And I think when you look at that, that is, it's good for the patients, it's good for the families, and it's good for the Commonwealth. We have a lot of very prestigious institutions here in the Commonwealth. We should use those resources in terms of the medical schools and the research capacities and everything we have.
And you mentioned these partnerships are important, but specifically, why is the partnership with Temple so important specifically to the city of Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
I think it's a great opportunity to recognize the excellence in research as well as the clinical advocacy and many of the benefits there. We're going to be able to really meld both care and research in a great way, I think. And I think it's great for Philadelphia because it will now be an innovation center. It will draw people here so that want to be involved. And there's a whole host of offshoots that I think will come from this. And it's important that we continue to work collaboratively in that way. We're really building a better patient care model in terms of treating individuals. And I think ultimately that's going to be very exciting for Pennsylvania, both as a science and innovation center as well as a patient care destination in terms of caring for many of the individuals who, as I alluded to earlier, unfortunately are kind of in the pipeline. I think when you look at something like the Ice Bucket Challenge, the goal is to have a cure. And they've already identified parts of the genome that are new since that. So that kind of influx of money was great, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. It's going to be the physicians, it's going to be direct caregivers, and everybody in between, and the research scientists who are working on this tirelessly until we get a cure. In the meantime, I think we need to stay focused, and we need to have some intermediate goals as well, which are, in terms of advocacy, is just understanding that we all need to be pulling in the same direction so that we can have the best outcome that we can hope for all of our patients.
And finally, is there any other areas or comments that you'd like to make before we end today's program?
No, I just want to recognize all of our patients across the Commonwealth. There's about 900 that currently have ALS, and then you start adding in many of the other disease groups, you have thousands. And I want them to understand that as we continue to craft state policy that could potentially impact them, I want them to be a resource for us as lawmakers, and just encourage them to reach out to their lawmakers, develop that relationship now that way, and just say, look, this is who I am, this is what I have, and if you ever have any questions about patient care or insurance problems or whatever it is that they are personally struggling with on any given day, it's invaluable for us as policymakers to have that information. I just encourage them to get involved.
Representative Bryan Cutler, thanks for joining us and for giving us more information about ALS.